Hi, my name is Daphne and I'm outside literally grounding, meditating, picking flowers. We have an assortment of very healthy dandelion growing in the garden as well as dead nettle, I believe, which would die very soon. It actually can't tolerate too much heat, but it's amazing. And I actually saw some videos where you can collect this and make tinctures out of it. I think it might help with ragweed pollen. It'll help with this. But I just let it grow, let the bees have it, because it's so, I mean, there are a plentiful amount of bees now. There are like tons of honeybees. I have no clue where their nest is. There's a ton of honeybees, there's tons of wasps, and not the annoying ones. The ones that actually kind of leave you alone and don't really want to sting you unless you're in their way. Really like non-aggressive. And if you put water out, even more so. And they have a tendency of removing all the bad bugs out of your garden space, so I let them be. As long as their nests are nowhere in the proximity, it's fine. But there's so much life. The birds are making their nests now. I mean, the whole backyard is just covered in flowers. So I will show you guys around. I'll show you what the outside garden looks like, and then I'll show you what the inside garden looks like. Since I've been seeing all of your beautiful gardens online, I just want to put mine out there as well. So follow me and I will show you what the garden looks like early April. Even though it's in the process of being fixed up and there's a lot of overgrowth, it is still beautiful. I'm going to show it to you. So let's go. We have a bunch of bunching onions or chives. I'm not exactly sure which one. I've already cut these. I need to actually just start cutting them some more and just dehydrating them. But in the bed, I dumped a bunch of soil from the grow room that I didn't need. And so we have a wide assortment of like peas growing or beans growing from last year, so they'll need to be relocated. We have some salad greens that I didn't really ask for. We have some peas coming up. This one was stripped, probably slugs, but we do have a couple of peas coming up. A couple more beans here. But look at that, just gorgeous. And we have some spaces that actually need to be worked on. But I mean, we take a moment to appreciate just the amount of flowers in this garden. We have dandelion and dead nettle here, which will start to die once the main heat comes and stays. But you can actually make a beautiful tincture out of this. Never done it before, but there are plenty of channels that show you how to do it. And if you are going to do it, pick them now while they're in their prime. And you can make your tincture. Over here, I know it looks a mess. We do have some leeks coming back in. So I'm gonna actually dig these up and separate them out. But it's weird because they're only really growing in over here. I don't see too many growing in over here. And the ones that are over here are kind of scrawny. So I'm wondering about the soil consistency over here. I actually think there might be voles in this area as well. But over here, a lot of leeks, so they can be spread out. And then underneath this tarp, which I was using to keep out the caterpillars and the moths, but I doubt that's effective. But we do have all of our salad greens outside now. It's a little late for them to be out here, but they actually are sitting in water because it does get quite hot in the daytime. And then the goal was to actually put them in the soil today, but that's not happening. So they'll be okay for a few days, even though they're inside of these very tiny cups. But I only need about 4 rows, so there'll be 3 to 4 bok choy here, and then tatsoi here, and then we'll have purple bok choy here, and then Queen Anne lettuce here, and then some Paris Island lettuce on that side. The Merlot lettuce, for some reason, did not come up this year, but that's fine. We don't really need it. There's a whole lot of plants in here, so. And then we do have some dill, which actually won't be planted in here, but that'll be planted in the garden beds. And then the part of the garden nobody really shows, their part of the garden that like has a bunch of crap in it. These 2 garden beds used to be pepper beds, but as mentioned, I do need to kind of do something different with my, look at this dead nettle patch, isn't that impressive? I actually do need to do something different with my garden. It needs to shrink. And so these 2 beds are actually being torn down, and the soil is going to be relocated to the large garden beds on the inside of the garden gate. So all of this wood would actually go on the dumpster, except for this wood here and the wood on the side, which would be used to fortify some of the other garden beds. And then this one will be torn down as well. The wood will be relocated, and then this whole area will just be seeded with grass seed. I actually do want to build another compost bin. This one has been fine. I know that I can't have wood directly exposed to wetness because A, it deteriorates the wood, but also it drips so much rain on the inside of this that I was worried the food wouldn't decompose. So there is mesh cloth at the bottom of this to keep out the voles because it was a problem last year, but it's decomposing fine. It has enough airflow, but it doesn't get a whole lot of moisture in here, so I do need to turn this. And we're still feeding this one. I've actually started feeding this one back in in February. But I will let it rest throughout the summer. And the big thing about this is that I can actually lift it up and I can actually take some of the finished compost from the bottom of this. But then this one might actually be cleared and I might actually build another smaller compost here. So we'll see, but it does have to be cleared out soon. But this area needs some work. Not afraid to show it because everybody has those areas. And then over here we have some elderberry growing back. These are just elderberry starts here. And I actually, that one. Yeah. Elderberry starts are starting to grow back. I'm actually going to give a few of these away to whomever might want them in pairs. I figured since I had to trim the elderberry patch anyway, I might as well just see if I can propagate, and it's been successful in the past. The figs, not so much, because obviously the winter was kind of harsh for them, so I don't have much hope that they might actually grow, but we'll see. We'll see if they do come back. And then in here we have a bunch of beds that actually still need to be cleaned out. This actually might be some type of lettuce that went to seed. So I'm actually going to pull that entire thing. And then, I don't know if I mentioned it in previous videos, but like these beds are actually warped now because of the snow load that was so heavy in this area that it pushed the garden beds over. They're actually supposed to be 2 feet wide. They are not. So I need to actually take probably about a foot from like the center part of the bed, dump it over, and then actually put some stakes in to hold the shape. This bed needs some work too. I kind of think that the mulberry tree, which is here, that the roots might be under this bed because nothing actually grows really well in here. It could be the shade, but I also think that like it needs to kind of be tilled. So I might actually just rent a tiller instead of like doing it like having my back like hurt trying to figure that out, and see if I can actually just bust up the roots under here. And also need to like shrink this bed up as well. So I need a lot of wooden stakes or a lot of metal stakes to fix the bed. We do have a ton of yarrow growing back though. This area just needs to be cleaned out. This will actually be the perfect time to collect some yarrow, also to propagate it or to relocate it if you have other spaces for it, before it starts to shoot up its seeds, or it starts to shoot up its flower. But impressive. I must really love the space. And then we do have our supposed to be bunching onions, I think there. But this, yeah, bunching onions here. And then all of these were actually supposed to be really great for root crops, but I don't water this area so much as it takes a lot of water to water this this enclosure space. I'm actually going to relocate these outside of the garden space. And they might actually be more successful at root crop germination here. And then we do have a small crop of oregano, which is going to be relocated. I relocate the thing every year, it always grows back. And then we have some mugwort here. And I think an onion here. Look at this, which is what I'm most impressed with, is our Goldenseal. I've always had it in this bed. I actually brought six roots or 3 plants. And yeah, they've been here for quite a while. It's the only thing that actually grows well in this bed because it's shaded by the mulberry tree. But look how healthy they are. They're not going to look like this in a couple of months. And I can still see where the original plants are. 1, 2, 3. They haven't really spread too much. They are very slow growing plants, but we do have a bunch of new growth. I kind of wish I had put them in the center of this bed. I thought I would be able to grow something else here, but nothing else wants to grow here, and I don't want to block their light. So I might end up like removing the roots and actually putting them in the center, but not now. It'll have to be in the fall. But look how beautiful they are. And eventually I'll be able to harvest the root as well. And they'll have a small little red berry here. So beautiful. They grow back every year. I'm so proud of them. Then over here, I said it was probably going to be a pepper bed because this area is heavily shaded and nothing else really grows well here but peppers. Although I don't want to put peppers here, and the bed also needs to have some stakes in it. It also needs to actually increase in the soil level as well. So I need a stake back there to kind of make it thinner. And then all of the beds need mulch. Stinging nettle, which actually is doing fine in the bucket, but it kind of does need to come out of there at some point. And then this bed really needs to be recreated entirely. It was an old shelving unit, I think, but obviously it's made of composite board, so the entire thing is going to be recreated. Maybe probably about 2 feet by 2 feet by 2 feet up. And then this will be a perennial bed or a flower bed. I haven't made up my mind about that, because I do need spaces outside of the general tomato beds to actually grow the zinnias. But we do have some bunching onions here. And then this bed, these two beds are always annual beds, so this one always has the okra in it. And then we also typically have some type of squash and then maybe a zinnia, but I'm actually going to put the zinnias in different beds. And then this bed, wanted to be an eggplant bed, but that's not going to happen this year. I don't have eggplant. So it'll probably just be a Kellogg's breakfast or some type of colorful tomato in this bed. And then this bed probably will be a flower bed, although I do have asparagus in the back. I'm just not exactly sure if it's going to grow back. But inside of the cups, we do have some peas that are starting to grow back. I have them on the inside of the cups just because I have found that the ones that didn't have a cup on it, like this one, were being eaten up by slugs. So, yeah, they seem to grow way better inside of the cups. I just literally dropped the seed that had been soaking for about a day and a half. I literally just dropped the seed in a couple of weeks back, and they're starting to grow. They could definitely use some rain. But this technically was supposed to be the pea area because I do have a trellis here, and I can contain the growth. And this bed is actually going to be a perennial bed for nothing but what is this? This is bee balm. So this is just like regular wild bee balm that I actually started some of this from seed, and some of it actually was purchased from some starts at our local nursery, and some came from the park because there's a bunch of bee balm, a healthy assortment of bee balm at our local park, but I don't know which is which. And then we have a bucket of red bee balm that'll go right in the center. I think last year I might have grew a kale here, but I don't think I'm gonna do that anymore. It got really messy. But yeah, this bed will actually be the bed for our bergamot because the tea is amazing. The only thing I have to do is keep the raspberry out of this bed because it seems like they're spreading on the outside here. But we do have a bunch more growing in here. I almost pulled this. Be careful about cleaning out your garden beds as well. Some of the ones that look like they're dead, the sticks, they're actually attached to living sprouts. So maybe break them in half, but don't actually rip them out of the beds. But we do have a wild bergamot. And then right in the back there, we have an asparagus. And I actually did pull one 2 days ago from here. It was huge, which is why I had to pull it. This one actually looks like it's starting to split already. Hopefully it gets some length to it and I can actually pull that one as well. But the asparagus is starting to come up. I think it would be better if we had some rain. There was supposed to be rain in the forecast. That has not happened. Even the leaves smell amazing. Over in this section, we do have some chives. I actually brought these 3 years ago, I think, from the local nursery. They're doing amazing. So I do need to cut those and just keep the dehydrator on, I think, while the season is good for them. And then in here, and then this little thing I have here to keep the raccoons from pooping in my garden beds. I'm tired of them. this little netting here. And then here we have St. John's wort, which is starting to grow back. You only need a little, but it is a wonderful herb. It's a wonderful herb for cold sores or any type of blister you might have. Just to have a little bit in the tea with a little bit of lemon balm, it's amazing. So I will always grow this, but you need to use it very, very sparingly. Don't use a lot. You'll get a massive migraine from it. Now over here we have our red bergamot. There's a lot of stuff in this bed actually. I think this is red bergamot here, and it's very healthy. And then I think some of this might be catnip too, because I did have both of them growing in the same space. Although look at that, look at the stem on that. Some of this is definitely catnip, I just don't know which. And then this little one is a sunflower, so it'll need to be relocated. But this whole thing will be dumped out and something else will go here. I'm thinking it needs to be something that's a perennial, but I don't want it growing in this container, so I'll have to figure something else out. And this is my little surviving sage, which I'm very proud of. So I did not think the sage was actually a perennial in my zone, but apparently it is. We have our lemon balm coming back here. And I do need to kind of dump some compost. I also need to fix this garden bed up a little bit. It's starting to break apart. But dump a little bit of compost on it and this bed should be perfectly fine. Over here is actually our hyssop, which is actually slowly starting to grow back on what I actually thought was a dead branch. But you got to be careful with pruning hyssop, because when you take out, what you're taking out probably is actually a live plant here. And then we have our very tender banana mint here, which is absolutely amazing. This plant actually was about $4 to $5 per seedling at the local nursery. It was only about $1.50 when I first purchased it. And now look at it. It's, you know, very healthy. It's spreading. It's all over the place. So I'm hoping that I can actually propagate this plant and actually have another banana mint throughout the yard, because the tea was amazing and it's not enough tea for this space. Not to mention this is a shaded location. It's shaded when the lavender comes back. And I actually want this mint more than I want the lavender, so we might have to switch locations. But with mint, it's very difficult to switch locations because you'll miss a root and then it'll be all over the place. But I don't mind this one because I would love to actually have this somewhere else. And then we have a propagated chocolate mint. The chocolate mint outgrows all over the yard. It's a weed at this point. Oh no. See why you have to be careful? Usually I don't pull, I just break because the roots are still alive. But all of this is purslane here, which is a weed for me. I know some people eat it in salad greens, but I don't want it growing in my mint. But this is chocolate mint here. And so I can actually do one or two things. I can actually just like take this and turn it into smaller plants and sell it or give it away. Or I just have another container of mint, but it's not going to be able to survive too long in this. I'm going to have to relocate it. Now over here we do have our lavender, which is coming back, and I don't prune this thing at all because I know that some of this stuff will actually be living. Only when it has fully blossomed out do I actually pull some of the what is clearly dead at that point, because then you'll know. So I don't quite know what to trim and what not to trim, so I actually don't trim. But there's purslane growing in here, which I don't really mind growing here because it's going to be shaded out when the lavender comes back. And then we have an empty container, probably something that will be an annual. This is a container of lemon balm here, chocolate mint here. We have chocolate mint in this one. I like chocolate mint. I never have enough chocolate mint. And the problem with this is that it is spreading outside of the raised bed. So if you are going to grow mint, you might want to put some mesh cloth at the bottom of it, because it will soon make its way underneath the mulch, through this area, and into that garden bed. But that literally just means I have a new plant. That's all. Like this. You know, this is impressive here. Then this is chocolate mint as well. Actually, I think this might be peppermint. Oh, before I leave, I almost forgot. So we have some more chives here. We have some oregano here, which I'm gonna actually transplant one of my other oreganos here to fill this out. And then in the raspberry area, we do have some baby raspberries coming back in areas I don't really want them to be in, but it is starting to fill out. This entire area is just heavily mulched. Every year I try to dump leaves and mulch here, and the raspberries seem to like that. And then we do have a cluster of asparagus there, and you can actually see baby asparagus coming in right there, and another one there as well. Over here in our strawberry containers, we do have a few growing back. This one actually has flowers. Look at that. Now I did purchase these plugs last year. We do have one lone leaf here, but it looks like it's alive. There's a plug that's alive here, which might be relocated to the center. That one looks like it's alive. This one's alive. I don't know if this one is, which is a shame because it survived most things. But this one can just be relocated there. And that's the reason why I actually do let some of the runners actually root, even though I don't want them in that location, because this one can now be relocated there. And I don't have to buy any more strawberry plugs, and they're mature. Look at this wasp here. And then that one here is alive. I do see hope there, a little bit there, and I don't see anything here, but it's still quite early in the season, so we'll see. Hopefully I don't have to buy any more. And then we do have our blackberries coming back, so we do see a little bit of growth here, and then definitely some coming from the root. Traveling along. And then this is nothing but elderberry here, and I'm going to pull all of this because I don't really want elderberry growing outside of its location. We have enough and don't need any more. So, yep, I actually did decide to cut this all the way back, but it doesn't matter. We'll still shoot up about 10 to 12 feet. But all of this is going to be cleared. I just don't want any elderberry here. All of this here will be cleared while it's still soft. I don't have to like trim any hardwood. And then so we'll literally just have the regular elderberry bushes growing up. And that's enough. We don't need a forest back here. But I'll have to do this within a week or it'll become too chaotic. I am thankful. And it is a beautiful day. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the ability and the want to be able to create some beauty in a world that is vastly needing it. And if all of us can create a little bit of beauty and clear our minds in the process of cleaning out our garden space, which does help. It's a process of meditation for me to actually clean and be in the soil and sow some things. It actually cleans me out as well. So if I can clean out my personal, right, and get my thoughts in line, and get my thoughts together, and clean out my garden space and create some beauty, and have other people see the beauty and appreciate the beauty, that creates a little bubble of beauty and peace in the world. And then if you guys can create some beauty and peace in the world in terms of yourself and inside of yourself and outside of yourself, that we can all create these little bitty bubbles of beauty and immerse them all together and create some positive energy in a world that is in desperate need of it. Because we can create beauty too. We don't have to allow for other people to create our beauty. We don't have to allow for other people to give us peace. We can create peace just by emptying ourselves out a little bit and getting our thoughts together. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching, and you have a great and wonderful day, and happy gardening. Peace.